In this video, I'll be doing a commentary drive to show you what to expect if you take your practical driving test at the Zillmere Driving Test Center. I'll be driving around main roads, residential areas, and will do about 2 maneuvers. Remember, the route I take may not be the exact one your examiner chooses, as they have a variety of routes to choose from and there isn't a single fixed route for every test. So over the past month or so, there have been updates at the Carseldine Driving Test Center affecting those taking their driving tests. Early this month, driving instructors were advised of the temporary relocation of the test center to Zillmere due to major roadworks and constructions taking place around the Carseldine Customer Service Center. These constructions work are expected to last for about 18 months, so won't be returning to Carseldine until about 2025. If you are booking a driving test during this period, prepare to take it at Zillmere instead. The good news is that the route at Zillmere are quite similar to Carseldine, with some even suggesting that Zillmere might be easier. If you are doing your driving test during the week, you will need to park the car inside the test center in one of the parking spots on the right. If you are using a driving instructor's car, the instructor will likely ask you to reverse into the parking spot, and I recommend doing the same if you are using your own vehicle. If you are doing your driving test on the weekend, you will need to park the car outside, so on the side of the road. It's important to arrive at least 20 minutes before your scheduled test time and inform the office staffs that you've come for your driving test. If you don't, the staff may assume you haven't shown up and will cancel your test. It's also crucial to avoid being late, as this may cause your driving test being cancelled. After you fill out some paperwork in the office, you walk to the car with your driving examiner. The examiner will instruct you to get inside the car, turn on the ignition without starting the engine, and roll your window down so that you can hear what they are saying. They will then ask you to indicate left and right, press the brake pedal, and beep the horn to check if the car is roadworthy. If you are using a driving instructor's car, these checks will typically be done beforehand. However, if you are using your own car, verify that your car is roadworthy. Once the examiner is seated in the car, you can start the engine. They will then ask you some pre-test questions about features such as windscreen wipers and hazard lights. Getting one or two of these questions wrong will result in a non-critical driving error being recorded. After this, the driving examiner will instruct you to move off when you're ready. So from where we are parked here, we have to actually make a right turn. And the spots where we are parked, we need to remember that if there are cars entering the parking area, we have to make sure that we give way to them. So here we are going right, so right indicator, look around. If there's no one coming, we can go. After turning right, one of the most important things that we have to be looking out for here is the speed limit. Inside here, the speed limit is 10 kilometers per hour. So we don't want to be going fast because it's actually very easy to fail the driving test even when going out of this center. As we continue driving, there is a pedestrian crossing coming up as well. So again, we need to look both ways, and if there is someone waiting to cross, we have to make sure that we give way to them. So at the end, we are going to be making a right turn. Also, just before we do a right turn, we need to be looking out for any pedestrian, making sure that no one is crossing, and then we now need to look for cars. So this is kind of like a giveaway sign situation. If there is no one coming, we can go ahead and turn right. After turning right, the speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour. And again, it's very easy to fail here because this road is wide, and if you assume that it's 60 and you drive too fast, you can easily fail the driving test in the first 2 minutes. At the end of the street, we are going to turn right. So rear view mirror, right side mirror indicate right. There's a giveaway sign, so we need to make sure that we give way. So we look both sides. There's no one coming, we can turn. After turning, the speed limit on this road is 60 kilometers per hour, so we can continue driving. We are going to be making a left turn ahead, so it's a slip lane, and a lot of people actually get confused here because if you are turning left into a slip lane, you need to give way to vehicles which are turning right from the main road. So here there is a give way sign, so we give way to anyone coming from the right. There is no one in this case, so we can turn. Then we're gonna be taking the second road on the right. So indicating, checking our mirrors, making sure that we slow down nice and early. There's no one coming, so we can turn. After turning right, making sure that we leave enough space between ourselves and these parked vehicles. The speed limit here is 50. And then there's a sign here which, if you don't see this sign and you drive fast, there's a crossroad coming up. So we need to make sure we give way to anyone on the main street. So we are going straight, so looking both ways, there's no one coming, so we can go. Again, here there is parked vehicles coming up, so we need to make sure that we are not driving too close to them. And then here there is a bend. This place is a bit tricky because we don't want to be cutting a corner, because if we cut a corner we will be driving on the wrong side of the road, so we have to keep left. And then we're gonna turn left, so checking our mirrors, indicating left, positioning the car properly, making sure that we give way. There's no one coming, we can turn. And then here there is a crossroad, so we're gonna be going right at the crossroad. First thing that you notice here is that there is a stop sign, so making sure that we stop. Looking both ways, if there's no one coming, we can turn. At the end of the road, we are going to be turning left. So checking our mirrors, indicating left, positioning the car properly, and then there is a stop sign again, so we need to make sure that we stop completely. Checking. There's no one coming, so if there's no one coming, we can turn. And the first thing that you notice is that there is a school zone sign here on the left, so we need to be very careful. I'm actually doing this drive between 2 and 4, so this is actually school time, so I need to keep the speed down. And then we're gonna be making a right turn at the traffic lights. Now these traffic lights, there is no arrow, so sometimes there's arrows, sometimes there is no arrow, so we need to be careful because sometimes we might have to give way to oncoming traffic. This time we have a green arrow, so we can turn. And then straight after turning, you can see there is another school zone sign, so we need to make sure that we are not driving too fast, because if you exceed the speed limit on the driving test, that's an immediate fail. So we continue, making sure that we don't exceed the speed limit. We have to get to the next sign. So we've passed the next sign, so now we can go a bit faster. And then we're gonna be turning left. So checking our mirrors, indicating left, slowing down, and then we can turn. After turning left, the speed limit is posted on the road, so it's 50 kilometers per hour. And also the road is not marked, so we have to make sure that we are not driving too much in the middle, so we have to keep left. At the end, there is a sign which says that it's actually a one-way. In these situations, the driving examiner will not give any direction. As we approach, we need to make sure that we're reading the signs, and also, even though we can only go left, we have to indicate left still. And also, there is a giveaway sign. We don't have to stop completely if there's no one, but in this situation there's actually a lot of cars coming, so we need to make sure that we stop and wait. So this turn can be a little bit tricky because there is actually 3 lanes, and usually this road is a bit busy. So we're waiting for a safe gap. So basically judging here, making sure that we pick a nice gap because we don't want to rush the turn, but at the same time we don't want to miss a lot of safe gaps. It's safe to turn, so we can go. After turning here, there is actually no sign, but for me, I know this road is actually 70 kilometers per hour. But if you're not sure in this kind of situations, the best thing to do is to drive at 60, and then you need to wait until you pass the next sign. The driving examiner cannot mark you down in these situations because there is no sign posted on the road. And then as we stop, we need to make sure that we stop at a good distance from the front vehicles. So continuing on, so they are moving. There's a set of traffic lights coming up, so we have to be anticipating that they could change. They are still green in this situation, so we can continue. Another set of traffic lights, so same thing, we need to make sure we anticipate. So a 70 kilometers per hour speed limit on the left. There's that car which just turned into the road, so just making sure we adjust our speed accordingly. So here we're gonna be changing to the left lane, so mirror, indicator, blind spot. If it's safe to change lane, we can change lane. And then if the examiner doesn't say anything, we have to continue driving straight, unless maybe the markings, maybe if the markings say left only, so we have to turn left. So as we continue straight in this lane is actually gonna end, and the examiner is not gonna tell you what to do in these situations. You have to read the signs and follow the markings. So we have to check the mirrors, indicate blind spots, and then if it's safe to merge, we can merge. So remembering here, the speed limit is still 70 kilometers per hour. If we haven't passed another sign, that means that speed still applies because we are still on the same road. So making sure we stop at a good distance from this car in front. It's moving, so we're gonna be turning left. At the next set of traffic lights, we are going to be turning left. So checking mirror, indicating, then we can turn. So this is a slip lane. Here we don't have to stop because the traffic lights are off, but we need to give way at this give way sign. And then afterwards, what can happen is your examiner will probably ask you to turn right here. And then they can ask you to stay in this lane, or they can ask you to go straight. In this situation, we are going straight, so we're gonna have to change lane. So mirror, indicate, shoulder check. And then make sure we stop at a good distance from the car in front. So they are moving. Now the speed limit on this road is 60, so it's important that you read the signs. If you're not sure, you can just do 50. Checking the mirrors every now and then. So here the lanes are gonna split. You can just choose any lane that you want to go in. Sometime an examiner will be specific and ask you to remain in the left lane. So for example, in this case, I've just chosen to remain in the left lane. So here we're gonna be stopping because of the traffic lights, so we need to check the rear view mirror. And then again, making sure that we stop at a good distance from the front vehicle. So the traffic light is green, so looking through the traffic lights. What's going to happen here is that there is a Form 1 lane sign, so we need to merge. So because we are in the left lane, we need to check the mirrors, indicate, and also check the blind spot. And usually the vehicle which is ahead goes first, but you still need to be careful because sometimes people might not let you in. So continuing on here, the speed limit is 60, but there is a school zone coming up. So very important that we adjust our speed accordingly. Because I'm doing this drive between 2 and 4, I need to obey the school zone. If you are doing this between, let's say, 9 and 2, you're not gonna have to deal with the school zones that much in this area. So here's the school zone sign. We need to be 40 by the time we get to this sign. And then we need to continue doing 40 until we pass the school zone. At the next set of traffic lights, I'm gonna be turning left. So which means that I need to change to the left lane. So I need to check my mirrors, I need to indicate, and then I need to check the blind spot and then change lane. So again, here in these situations, the examiner might not necessarily tell you to change lane because you need to know that if you are turning left, you have to be in the left lane. And if you try to turn left from the right lane, that is a critical driving error. So here the traffic light is green, so we can turn. And then straight after turning, you can see that the left lane ends. So we actually need to merge immediately. And again, there is another school zone sign, which means this is still a school zone. So we need to continue doing 40 until we get to the next speed limit. So we have to wait. So the 60 sign is coming up very soon. So after passing the 60, we can basically increase the speed again, and then we can drive a little bit faster. So here's the 60. Now, straight after the 60, this is actually a little bit tricky because after the speed changed to 60 and then it goes back to 40. But this 40 kilometers per hour is actually not a school zone. This sign is always there. So even if you're doing your test outside of school zone time, you need to be doing 40. A bus stopped on the left. And then there's a bend coming up, so we need to make sure that we slow down. They recommend about 20 kilometers per hour. Traffic light is green, so we can continue. So here there is also a pedestrian crossing coming up, so it's important that we look ahead of time, because if there's a person wanting to cross, we need to stop. And then we're gonna be turning left. So to turn left, we check our mirrors, indicate, and then we can turn left. And then we're gonna be turning right after that. So here we need to make sure that we leave enough space between ourselves and these parked vehicles, and then we can turn right. And again, a lot of parked vehicles around here. So here, even though the speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour, we have to drive less than that. If we are driving fast, the examiner can actually intervene, which means that failing the driving test. We're gonna pull over on the left and do our first maneuver, so making sure that we don't stop too close. So here we're gonna be doing a turnaround maneuver, which is also called a 3-point turn. So checking the mirrors, indicating blind spot, and then we turn. So once we get to this side, we need to look both sides. We need to physically look at the rear, and then we can steer. So here we're going back. We need to make sure that we don't hit the curb. So use whichever driving aid that you need to use. So either you use your mirrors or you can glance at the reversing camera. So you can actually glance at the reversing camera, but just don't stare at the reversing camera. So here we're gonna go straight. Then we're gonna be going left at the end of the road. So here indicating, checking the mirrors, and also positioning the car to the left. It's safe to turn, so we can turn. At the end, we are going to be doing a left turn again. So here, basically, there is kind of like 2 left turns, but we want to turn left and keep left. So we want to follow the arrows, which shows left. So we turn and we stay left. And then just around the corner, there is a set of traffic lights coming up, and you can see there is arrows drawn on the ground, which means that we have to go left. So we have to actually put on the left indicator here, and then make sure we stop at a good distance from this car in front of us. If you don't indicate left, usually an examiner here might give you a non-critical driving error, because even though that's the only way you can go, but still, like, there could be pedestrians around the corner which don't know that you're going left. So just still use an indicator anyway. So here we are waiting for the traffic lights to go green. So it's green, so we can go, checking through the traffic lights. And then as we turn left, the left lane ends, so we need to merge. So checking the mirrors, indicating blind spot. So this section of the road has a bit of traffic, so we need to make sure that we don't get impatient or zone out, especially if you are on your test and you encounter a little bit of traffic. You don't want to zone out because anything can happen basically. So here we have to stop at a good distance from the car in front. At the next set of traffic lights, I'm gonna be turning right, which means that I need to be in the right lane. In this situation, it's actually best to wait behind this white car, because if I was gonna try and squeeze through here, I'm gonna be on the wrong side of the road, and if this was a test, this would be a critical driving error. So the best thing to do here is to just be patient and wait behind this white car. One thing to be mindful of at this intersection is that what happens is the green light will turn on, but there won't be a green arrow, so it will just be a solid green light, and then after about 5 seconds the green arrow will turn on. So in this situation, because I was behind other cars, when I arrived at the line, the green arrow had turned on, so I can just turn without having to give way. But if we just have a green light, we might have to give way to oncoming traffic. After turning right, the speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour, but there is another school zone coming up, so which means that we need to slow down again. At this intersection, I'm gonna be taking the slip lane on the left, so I check my mirrors, indicate, and then also I need to slow down and look to my right. If there's no one coming, I can turn. The speed limit here is 60. Then there's a bend coming up with a sign showing that the recommended speed is 30 kilometers per hour. So I need to adjust my speed and make sure that I'm not going too fast. After the bend, I can increase the speed again. I'm gonna be turning right ahead. So I'm gonna check my mirrors and also indicate right, and I need to position properly. And also this turn is a little bit tricky because it's actually around the bend, so I need to make sure that I'm not rushing it. And then it's safe to turn, so I can turn. I'm gonna continue on this road, and then I'm gonna be doing a U-turn. So on this road, there is a row of parked vehicles. We need to make sure that we are not driving too close to the left, and also we need to make sure that we are not driving too close to the right. There's a little bit of a bend here, so adjusting the speed. So I'm gonna make a U-turn using this side road on the right. So I'm gonna check my mirrors, indicate right, and I need to make sure that I give way to any oncoming traffic. If there's no one coming, I can turn into the side road and then look to my right. And then when I get to this point, I need to change the indicator to left, make sure that I carry out observations, and then I can exit the U-turn when safe to do so. So we are back to that street again, and the speed limit is 50. And also there's a lot of parked vehicles, which means that we actually don't necessarily need to hit 50. We can just go a little bit slower. Coming up, we are going to be doing our last maneuver, which is a reverse parallel park. So I'm gonna check my mirrors, I'm gonna indicate left, and then I'm gonna line up next to this car. So I'm gonna come to a complete stop, select the reverse gear, look in my blind spots, checking my mirrors, look behind, and then I can start the reverse parallel park. So I'm using a 45-degree technique here, which if you're watching the videos, there is actually a video showing how to do this. So there's a car coming here, which means that I need to stop. I don't want to continue when there are cars passing. So I stop, they pass, and then I continue. And then just about as I was about to finish, there's another car coming. So again, I stop. So let them pass, and then I can finish off my maneuver. So once I finish my maneuver, I go ahead and put the car in park. And then if you have a handbrake, of course, you need to put the handbrake on. And then usually once you're done well here, the examiner will ask you to move off when you're ready. So here, checking the mirrors, indicating right, and then checking the blind spots. So at the end of the road, we're gonna be turning right. So this turn also kind of like gets a lot of people. There is a stop sign, so we need to make sure that we stop. And then we need to give way to everybody on the main road. So looking both ways, few cars coming, so you can lean forward or do whatever it takes to get a good visibility. And then we're gonna be turning right, so we are going back to the test center. So here we're gonna come, we're gonna make sure that we give way to oncoming traffic, so like this car coming, for example. And then once the car passes, we can turn. After turning, we need to remember the speed limit on this road is 50. And then we are going to be turning left to head back to the test center. So to turn left, we need to check our mirrors, indicate left, and also we need to adjust our speed. And then after we turn left, we need to remember the speed limit inside the center is 10 kilometers per hour. So we don't want to be going too fast. This is kind of a car park situation. We need to be looking out for any pedestrians. So there's a pedestrian crossing there again, so we need to look out for anyone who may be wanting to cross. We're gonna be doing a right turn. When you finish the driving test, you don't park at the same spot as where you started before. They get you to park, it's the same car park, but they get you to park on the other side of the car park. And this time around, you actually don't have to reverse the car in, you can just do a forward parking. So here we're gonna turn right. and then we're gonna turn right again, and then we're gonna park the car on the right hand side. So this is actually where they get people to park after they finish their driving test. So we're gonna park the car, and once you finish, so you stop the car, put the car in park. If your car has a handbrake, you put on the handbrake or you put on the parking brake, and then you switch off the engine, and then the examiner is gonna take you back to the office and it's gonna tell you whether you passed or whether you failed the driving test. So that's it for this video. I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, you can give the video a thumbs up, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next driving related video.